Video, we'll look at a scenario where Japan forms an empire in 2025. Well, the first nation they go after is the Philippines, and we're going to get rid of alliances. And Japan is going to be strengthened, obviously, because, well, if I don't, well, some of the nations to conquer, they probably couldn't. Maybe even a few. So, yeah. So there's no one going to help the Philippines. And while Japan launches forces into some of the smaller islands to capture them, to help them secure some naval dominance in the region. Then they come in from the north. As more forces enter, as they head towards Manila, and then they land some forces just south of it. Quickly, they connect the front, and this allows them to push back here. And while the Philippines get pushed back to another one of their bigger islands, and is quickly taken over. And while, as you can see, they get fully annexed, though full annexation's probably a bit unrealistic. It's still very possible to happen, but in this video we'll allow it to be possible. And while they go after Malaysia and Singapore, so this I don't think is Singapore, I think that's not, it could be, very well be parts of Singapore there. Now, I think that's not Singapore, I think it's over there a bit more. Still in the same area. And while they take advantage of how they have the Philippines, and they decide to launch two landing areas. One over here and one up here more. And they quickly put more forces in, as more forces are landed in. And a bit of a stalemate stands out for a bit, but then they move and advance past Brunei. They take this island to make it hard for supplies to get through. And then they create a bit of an encirclement, and they succeeded. Most forces that try to get across end up failing to cross. So, they decide to annex all of this. And that's not the right way. And yes, annex it all they do. They don't go after Indonesia yet. No, they go after Taiwan. And they take it over. And not long after, they land over here. Over here to take where the population is. Around Taipei, and as they do that, they take the rest over. But China claims it's theirs and that Japan stepped on their territory, entering this war. Well, you might think, oh no, this isn't going to end well. Well, they're buff, but not enough, maybe. Or enough. Let's see what happens. And quickly, they launch an invasion to conquer it. And them pushing against it. And as they flood in troops, they manage to quickly take it over. But with the strength of the nation, they manage to do this. And take over the northern part of this island. And then they push them back. And to secure it, they land over here. With them thinking they succeeded. But they failed to realize forces were going to move north. And they moved forces south of it to try to cut it off. And well, they failed to completely end this occupation site. So a peace treaty is signed. And there's going to be more here. more land's taken from them later. And while the small annexation secures their goals for now and weakens a nation that could attack them, with them going after Indonesia, only 2 islands. These 2 islands. So, oh yeah. And why am I only showing these 2 islands? Because these are the 2 islands they attack. And the full nation's at war. Though it doesn't look like it, but the full nation is. This is part of it. Yeah, no, this isn't working. Because I might need to take over more land. That's not working. Now they go after it. And yes, East Timor is part of this war. Why? I don't know. And well, their initial invasion goes really well. And I'm cutting this island in two. And they quickly decide to seize as much of the coast they can. Make a breakthrough here to get there. And well, they manage to push down to here and on this front all the way to there. And then they make an offensive over here, which they move north with. And they take this. As they take parts of the coast. And continue over here. With not enough forces being able to be mounted in those lands in that amount of time because it was so fast. After the island of Java fell, the nation just was like, yeah, we're out of this war, basically. And that's how it ended, in a peace treaty, in which these 2 islands were annexed. And well, the borders are gone. And then they go to war with Russia. And Russia does not perform very well. What a surprise. And well, this is an invasion that secures some much needed resources. That's why they're invading here, for the resources like oil, gas, and minerals. And expansion, because as we know, there's no reason for the expansion. Except imperialism. And they move up here. The forces arriving, but being still met with like 5 Japanese forces to 1 at this point. Quickly it's better. 4 to 1, then 3 to 1. That's the best they get. And then Japan starts sending in more forces, trying to keep a 4 to 1 ratio, even though they only really need 3. To make this invasion fast, they send another landing over here. With them starting to be slowed in their advance speed, with them managing to cut this area off. But their advance speed starts speeding up as a lot of desertion happens. And then this area falls, followed by another advance. With a rapidly advancing situation, changing situation, they decide to go to peace. And the peace treaty is really harsh. Why? Unnecessarily harsh. Well, that's not the right thing. That's not right. But this is. They just took the eastern part of Russia, weakening them severely. Significantly, really. Word. Well, then they moved to Southeast Asia, with them deciding to invade Vietnam, with them just launching like 5 or 6 landings. Landing 1 in the south and quickly gaining strength, with more forces than in the center. and they quickly start adding forces. And well, they collapse. And further two invasions happen into not Indonesia, Laos and Cambodia, with them quickly advancing through Cambodia's south, taking key areas, with them managing to cause a capitulation. And in the south, well, not long after, another capitulation, as one nation starts to worry, with them deciding to sign an alliance with the Koreas. And they all get forces ready, although China is going to struggle, as another war manages to break out. China taking the advantage to take one of the islands over. But it didn't go very well. They take this, but not Taiwan. With a front from Southeast Asia in Indochina, you can call it. So that's what it was when France had it. And well, out of the north, they have the front from Siberia. With them cutting off a big area to advance further. Then advancing like this. And in the Korean Peninsula, goes like this. With them deciding to abandon this, but they can't. There's an invasion sent here, and these two fronts are connected, though technically they were already. And with them failing to take Beijing, they launch more invasions. And they, well, of course, take back the areas they had that they just real. As the frontier is stalling out, they launch a frontier. Quickly it ends up stalling out, so they follow where they can get. And this area falls as they move into this area. Then over here, they launch an invasion from here. And over here. With their goal to weaken the forces. Since the focus is put completely on protecting Beijing, the coast falls. Which had a lot of hold on it forces still. But they're failing to hold the front back. Somehow Japan became less powerful. I guess that's because, yeah. I bet their population basically got doubled in this. And them capturing every bit of where population is as they advance to there. And the front near Beijing ends up with a bigger encirclement. A smaller encirclement, really. As they quickly destroy the nation. Let's see the peace treaty. More than they can control. They probably lose it instantly after this peace treaty with revolts and yeah, whatever. But we will leave it as this. And that's all for today's video, in which Japan formed an empire. And well, it probably has like 4 billion, 2 billion people at this point, yes. What's left of China probably has like 1 million people at this point. But that's all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment while Mapper out, but not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!